case you were wondering what it should look like when you're at low speeds, this is it. That's what I'm showing you in this video, what the motorcycle is capable of. It doesn't matter what kind of motorcycle you have. If it's got two wheels, one in the front and one in the back, these techniques will work. The techniques are the proper use of your head and eyes. That's the most important of the three techniques because you use that at all speeds. The proper use of the friction zone. That's the area of clutch travel between completely open when you release the clutch and completely closed. And the proper use of the rear brake. Put a little light, steady pressure on the rear brake, and it makes things so much easier at low speeds while you're in the friction zone. It doesn't matter if your bike weighs 900 pounds or if it weighs 300 pounds, these techniques are going to work. That's what you see here in this video. This is what it should look like if you really know what you're doing. Now, I know so many people, and I've heard this a million times, I ride just fine down the road. My problem is at low speeds. Well, yeah, that's everybody's problem because the faster you go, the more stable the motorcycle is, again, regardless of the size of the motorcycle. So, since we spend so much time at low speeds, whether it be maneuvering in traffic, making a U-turn on a side street, or maneuvering through the parking lot at their local bike night or Daytona or Sturgis, anywhere where it's crowded and there's limited amount of space, if you don't have any technique, you're going to wind up duck walking the bike. That, of course, makes you look like an amateur. You're still having to use the friction zone if you're duck walking the bike because nobody's going to push forward an 800, 900-pound motorcycle. A little bike, you may be able to get away with it, but you're still using that friction zone. So if you know how to keep that bike in the friction zone, all you got to do now is put a little bit of pressure on the rear brake and turn your head and eyes quickly, as you see my wife doing here. She's looking for a green tip cone, and she turns her head and finds it long before the motorcycle gets to it. That's the proper way of doing it, where if you're out on the street and a car turns left in front of you, if you've never practiced these maneuvers, because most crashes occur at or below 20 miles per hour, if you've never practiced these maneuvers, when that car pulls out in front of you, that's not the time to learn them. In fact, we do an exercise we call the brake and escape, which shows you exactly what you need to do in that situation. Every exercise I put in my class and in my videos is going to help you out on the road. That's what they're there for. What we're doing here is avoiding obstacles and doing it really relatively easy. It takes a few hours to get the hang of it, but it is well worth the practice. Now, if you practice the wrong things, you'll get really good at doing the wrong thing, and you'll wind up dropping your motorcycle quite a bit. Now, I have my latest video, the Ride Like a Pro Experience video. It shows you step by step how to learn these techniques. If you start with this particular exercise, it's called the snowman. That's a 26-foot circle to the right, and then a 24-foot one to the left. If you can't do that and you have a problem with it, well, you start with the circle at 30 feet or 34 feet or 40 feet. It doesn't matter. But if you get that video, in fact, if you get that along with Surviving the Mean Streets, where we show you why you did each exercise and how it relates to situations out on the road, you'll be way ahead of the game. You can do this on your own. In fact, I tell people when they come to my class, it's much better if you got the video first and practice prior to getting to the class. If you just spent an hour practicing the first exercise and then come to the class, again, you'll be way ahead of the game. You got to know how to use that friction zone. A little bit of pressure on the rear brake. The better you get with the friction zone, eventually you don't need any rear brake when you're practicing. Out on the road, you're making a U-turn. I always say use that rear brake because that's the last place you want to drop your motorcycle. And if you're worried about dropping your motorcycle, put some crash bars on your bike. We have the motorcycle drop guards that go onto the crash bars and the primary on Harley Davidsons. And if you drop the bike, absolutely nothing happens to it. The bike, the actual motorcycle, no part of it will touch the ground with the motorcycle drop guards. So if you get that video, you practice a little bit, watch Surviving the Mean Streets, lots of tips on higher speed riding as well as low speeds. But if you think riding a motorcycle is fun now, imagine if you actually knew what the hell you were doing. I guarantee it's a lot more fun. Think about this. If you know how to play chopsticks on the piano, well, that could be fun for a few minutes. But if you played like Ray Charles, it's a lot more fun. The better you get at it, the safer you're going to be out on the road. And anybody can do it. It does not take size or strength. That has nothing to do with it. There's no strength involved here. It's just technique. Head and eyes, friction zone, a little bit of pressure on the rear brake. This is what it should look like.
That was so pretty. I got misty-eyed watching you. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I had a tear in my eye.